Lesson 4. Let's start out reminding you guys lessons 1, 2, 3. Lesson 1 was attitude. Lesson 2, become the simplest at the most basic fundamentals. Lesson 3, momentum matters more than moments. Some good alliteration. And lesson 4, a great salesperson sells themselves first. The first sale you make as a salesperson is to sell yourself. Not once, but every day. Before you sell your clients, you have to sell yourself. I frequently bring up an interview with NHL All-Star Sidney Crosby. For those who don't know, the NHL is the top ice hockey league in the world, and Sidney Crosby is one of the greatest players in its history. And the interview went like this. The interviewer lady asked Crosby, "How does the coach motivate you after all these years?" And Crosby replied, "I'm a professional. It's my job to motivate me, not my coaches." Sidney Crosby is not just a professional, he's a great one. The interview took me back about 15 years, early 2000s, from the time that I saw this interview. And I was a young salesperson. I was wanting to make my mark on the world, so I called the top salesperson in our company on the phone, and I wanted to pick her brain on how to become great. And I asked her, I said, "What's the first thing that you would tell me if I were to become a great salesperson?" And she said, "First things first, a great salesperson sells themselves first." Connecting the dots, it's evident that these two champions were saying the same thing. Motivation is a responsibility, not a right. You're not entitled to feel motivated. Just like you're not entitled to anything else. You're not entitled to feel motivated. It is a responsibility to feel motivated. It's a responsibility that professionals like Sidney Crosby take very seriously into their own hands. Let's face it. Oh, this is going to be fun. You're not always going to like your day-to-day of what you're doing in sales. You might not always like your product. You won't always like your leader. You won't always like your day or your month. You won't always like your client. You won't always like the prospect. In fact, you won't always like yourself. You just won't always like yourself. Weak, immature people will have a lot of emotional ups and downs in their day because of that. Haven't you noticed that weak people tend to overreact to arbitrary, meaningless things? Haven't you ever had a low-level employee of some business somewhere overreact to something completely trivial? I remember I was boarding a flight a week ago, and I brought a carry-on bag, and the lady said, "That bag won't fit into the overhead." And I was about to scan my ticket. I said, "Yeah, it will. I bought this bag. It's literally, I bought it to fit into overhead compartments." She's like, "Well, put this in this basket right here, and you'll see that it won't fit, and then you're going to cause a delay for everyone." I said, "Okay." Wasn't sure what the attitude was coming from. I put my bag. It fit perfectly. I said, "I guess I can take it on the flight with me." She's like, "Well, if it doesn't fit in the overhead compartment, then you'll slow everybody down." And I was like, why is she so upset? Why is she so trivially negative? It was so weird to me. But haven't you had an experience with some low-level employee that's just trivially upset about seemingly nothing? That's how low-level people live their lives. They're reactive. Professionals are proactive. Low-level people expect somebody else to motivate them. High-level people take the responsibility of self-motivation very seriously. We know that things won't always be how we wish them to be, but we can always meet with those things proactively because we know they will happen. Now, we're going to talk about commitments and discipline because those override motivation, because motivation is temporary. It's like bathing. You have to do it daily, like Zig Ziglar said. If you're in sales, you're going to have some unpleasant moments. Weak salespeople arrogantly assume that only in sales we have unpleasant moments. Everything that requires discipline has things you won't like. You think sales is emotionally hard? Try being a pediatrician. That's a children's doctor. My sister-in-law happens to be a pediatrician. I've seen her cry after work, bawling her eyes out because of conversations she has to have with her patients and their parents. Yet we salespeople arrogantly assume that we're the ones with the hard job. Your job isn't that hard. You improve people's lives with the products you sell. Most of your conversations with clients are very fun. Sometimes you act like a clown and people don't trust you. Boo-hoo. You get paid really well to do something that gets easier and has an increasing return on your labor every day. That's literally the opposite of every other profession. In every other profession, the more you ascend, the more you get your hands dirty. In sales, the more you ascend, the more pleasant your life becomes. All the time. Your day becomes more pleasant and you take it for granted. You grind for a few years and your freedom increases exponentially every few years. A little gratitude is in order. Have you sold yourself today? Are you a professional who takes full responsibility over your motivation and selling yourself first? Or are you a weak person reacting to today's trivial, momentary tribulations? A great salesperson sells themselves first. Do you sell yourself on your product by looking at it, touching it, wearing it? By looking at the celebrities that wear your product and the history they're making? Do you sell yourself first on the amazing company you get to align with? One that is, in our case, literally a part of history as we're photographed on world leaders doing world-changing things every day. We're in the news. Do you sell yourself on the fact that you get to bring joy to leadership? That's literally what we do. We bring joy to leadership. Literally. We bring the product that we bring to leaders that gives them joy. And your growth brings joy to your leaders because we celebrate each other's success here. We get to experience joy as well when you lead others and you see them succeed. We bring joys to leaders at every level. That's what you get to do. Do you sell yourself on the fact that you are building a historically significant brand? Do you sell yourself on the amazing future you are building for yourself and your family? Generational success. It's happening in your life right now. Do you sell yourself on that? Even if you're not quite where you want to be, do you sell yourself on your mission and do you sell yourself on your direction? You get to live out your direction here. No guarantee of success, but you get a chance. That's not nothing. Or do you just look at that last sales call that didn't go the way you wanted? A great salesperson sells themselves first. This goes back to that first lesson of attitude. Have you spent some time today to list out the things that are in your company that you're grateful for? I'm grateful to bring joy to leadership. I get to work with the best, the most talented, and the most hardworking young leaders on the planet. I'm grateful to work with the kind of clients we get to work with. We're in the news every day. I kind of put a little note here. I said, oh, to hear what our suits hear in the rooms they visit. Boy, have our suits been part of some historic conversations. I'm grateful to be in control of my destiny here at LGFG, a place where I can build my business through clients, through the leaders I develop, or both. I'm grateful that I get to bring the joy and discipline of what we do into the lives of others. I'm grateful that I get to be unapologetic about my success and your success. I'm grateful that the people in this company celebrate each other's success while holding each other accountable. That's a great mastermind group we have here. What you sell yourself will ultimately determine what you buy from yourself. I choose to buy the best things in life, and LGFG gives me a unique, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to do that. A great salesperson sells themselves first. Be proactive. Write out the things that you're happy about and sell yourself that you're doing the right thing, and more of the right thing will come into your life. Thank you. This has been Lesson 4.